Hey, what's going on? This is Reggie with the Basic Black Podcast. Normally, I have some nice, huge, full episode of things to share with you, and I wish I can say that would be the case today. I'm putting out a reaction because I saw a company called Pink Pole Studio. Now, you would think Pink Pole Studios, who are they? Well, let's see. I saw a video that's been kind of circulating around on Facebook and Instagram and whatnot. And oh my God, if you hear me out, this group is the reason why I will always and forever say that fathers are critical in the growth and development of not just a child, but also a girl most often. And the reason why I say that, obviously being a father of boys to myself, I understand, obviously, when you have the same equipment, you kind of know and you don't really have issues. You know how you grew up. You can kind of contrast how you were raised by the way their mother was raised and whatnot and so forth. Now, we sit back and we talk, and there's this huge thing that deals with the true shame and what I like to call mama sons. It's when, and if you don't know properly what a mama son is, and that's not really the goal of this broadcast today, a mama son is a young man who is growing up, and most likely the father is no longer in the house. There's a lack of strong male representation to help guide and provide structure to this young man. So his mother is doing what she has to do. She's taking on that responsibility of raising her son. Now, I don't have any issues against a mother doing this because there's some situations to where the mother is just not, with the husband or something, or the husband has left the home, or the husband has passed away, or whatever it may be. There might not be uncles and mentors that are readily available for that young man. Now, for me, I'm lucky because there are a number of mentoring groups that through public and private organizations, even like the Boys and Girls Club, that you can seek out resources. And I've made myself a resource to where at one time I took on a mentee. I know a good friend of mine, he is celebrating 6 years with his mentee, and just an amazing thing. It's one of my friends, Mr. Kurt Mangum of Couple Fit in Phoenix, Arizona. So definitely salute to him and his beautiful wife. Continue doing what you're doing. But I digress from that, and I go back to Pink Pole Studio. I don't get it. I'm pretty much so disgusted by it, because you're like, okay, what are you disgusted by? Let me help you out with it. Pink Pole Studios have a mommy and daughter day, right? And they're bragging that they want mothers and daughters to enjoy a pole dancing class. Where or what in the hell is going on? What in the hell are people thinking? Where have we moved with this over-sexualizing of young girls? This is the reason why we get the Sexxy Reds and we get all these other slut rappers where all they're talking about is sex, money, their body, or how many bodies they can get. And then you have these young girls, unfortunately, looking up to these women like Meg the Stallion. She is definitely no role model. She is, oh gosh, she's something special. She truly is, like someone said, she is a beautiful woman who's rotten on the inside. And that's just strictly going off of her own merits as a person. So now you go to Sexxy Red, and if you don't know who this trash heap of a bag of flesh is, she's that one that proudly likes to say she wants to eat a man's behind. But she says it a lot more vulgar than I just said it. And then she talks about her vagina and what color it is. Two things we really don't need to hear. But I cringe when I see these videos come up on social media where you see these kids in these classes singing their songs, boys and girls. Now, that bothers me as a father, because a father would have not allowed that to happen. Let's be for real. Let's be for real. Let's keep it a buck. Let's make it perfectly clear. There is no way a father is going to let his daughter do some shit like that. You're not going to be, 6, 7, 8, 10 years old or whatever. I think the oldest person was like 13 in a pole dancing class. So you see these girls starting to learn pole moves that you would see if you were going to your favorite strip club. And it's so disturbing because it's messes like this where they make it easy now for pedophiles. They get to see these young girls doing things that they have no business doing. And first and foremost, I put the blame on the mother because the mother is a lost generation child that went ahead and heard some of this during her day and just hasn't lived out her hot girl summer from over 20 years ago. So you go ahead and you think this is fine. And if you do think this is fine, please send me an email at basicblackpodcast@gmail.com and tell me why. I'll read your response. I will not say your name, but this is the one time I hope to not get a response because I don't know. I shouldn't say that because I would really like to see what in the hellified, glorified hood rat hell is going on in your damn mind to sit there and allow your child to be at a pole dancing class. That's disturbing. It seems that we are starting to normalize insanity. When you are 18 and over, you can make whatever decision you want to. I understand that, while you're a minor, you're in your parents' care, but it's getting to the point where you can't even trust the damn parents anymore to make a good decision. They're not engaged in the success of their child. They treat school like it's some type of daycare that they can just pawn their children off for 6 to 8 hours while they go to work or do whatever they have to do. Gone are the days when the parents were on your behind and saying, what do you have for homework? What's going on with your day? How did school go? And they were proactive to the point to where, especially for me, my parents, they didn't have to wait for a parent-teacher notice to come out because they were on top of the teachers. And if the teacher had some bad news about me, it wasn't my parent going off on the teacher. It was my parents going off on me, holding me accountable for the life that I'm living and making sure that their punishment is connected that says, hey, you are committing yourself to be a failure and it's only going to be your fault. Now, for me, in the way I looked at it with my children, it was my job. It was at the time my job and my ex's job to try to put our best efforts into a child to make sure that they come out to be productive and a credit to society. You can't sit back and say, well, my kid's not on drugs. Oh, my kid's never been in jail. That's not a success. That's not optional. That should be mandatory. I think people really forget optional and mandatory because that makes about as much sense as you going to a car dealership, buying a brand new 2024 whatever, and you say, you know what? I don't need brakes. I'll get them later. Does that make sense? No. And like I say a lot, and I got this from my father, say something out loud, and if it sounds stupid, it is. It is pure madness. And I start to say this more and more often as a father who got pulled away by a worthless mother. You can see what happens when a child does not have that grounding and foundation, or they feel like they can do it all on their own. The mothers that don't have a choice to do this, I understand. You have to do what you have to do. I thank you for what you have to do. I applaud you for your efforts, but the truth remains simple. A woman cannot raise a young boy. Point blank, period. I'm sorry if you don't like it. You're going to have to just accept it for what it is. And that's the truth. And let's go ahead and discuss this little tidbit. Do you know that a child is better off being raised solely with the father than the mother because their chances of receiving structure and discipline are increased and their chances of going to prison are lowered? If you go and you look at a lot of young men that are in prison, you will see that they were mama sons, or their father was already incarcerated, or their father left the picture, or their father passed away. And then whoever was around to raise or mentor or guide these young men, they get lost because the people that were guiding them were not of good character. They were not wise counsel for my biblical folks. It was just a joke. So the importance of fathers will always be there. Now, the only thing I can ask all the women out there, let's just say you're going through a divorce. Let's just say the relationship is not what it was supposed to be and you want to be out. And I can respect that, because I'll tell anybody, if you're in a marriage that is unfulfilling, you guys are no longer connecting, you cannot find common ground, and you cannot come to a reasonable decision about anything, it might be time to go. So that's what I say. I'm sorry, it's not the positive silver lining type situation that happens when things go. You know, come on, Reggie, you're not putting out some good information. You're not making people smile and make people happy. Well, that's not my job all the time. My job is to be real. My job is to provide information that's useful. If you're looking for a place that's going to provide you lies and BS to make your life better, you came to the wrong place. Now, normally I don't make rants when I do podcasts, but this one is kind of rantish because I am just perplexed. I am bothered and triggered by even seeing this mess and seeing that people really think this is okay, because it's not. It's not. By no shape, form, or fashion is it okay. It's not. Please understand that. So I say this to the mothers: do not force your husband away from parenting the kids. You cannot be a body full of estrogen trying to raise a body full of testosterone. It doesn't work. What ends up happening is you have a young man full of testosterone who's acting like he has estrogen also. So you have this oversensitive, emotional, angry man who is obviously, because men are physically stronger than women. That's not me being sexist. That's just me talking science, and it's true. But now you have this young man with no guidance. He's very emotional, sometimes irrational, and almost imitating what he would see if his mother was in a confrontation or argument. And then he has that testosterone that want to be the man, and he has both of those things fighting against him, which now makes him a uncontrollable, emotional, physical nightmare. So to the mothers that have to do this, I would strongly say, do your best to find a mentoring program for your son, and you don't have to do it by yourself. To the mothers, again, who have daughters, this right here is a clear reflection of what your standards are, because if you are in Pink Pole Studios having a pole dance class with your minor daughter, that says that you got a little 304 in you as well. That's not good. It's all fun and games until you see your child doing the shit that you're doing and you wish they would change their ways. But you can always go back and tell them that's not the right thing to do. Do as I say and not as I do. That's not a lesson. That's an excuse. That's a cop-out. So what I'm going to end this with is, people, we have to do better. To the fathers out there, if you are being put in a position where you cannot mentor your son, and that means even me, I'm in that group, put your efforts forth to help mentor another child, to mentor a group, to lend your God-given skills, talents, and abilities to helping a young man make his way through manhood. You just gotta do it. As much as it might hurt to not be able to put your stamp officially on your child because you were forced out of the picture, it doesn't stop for you taking that goodness and passing it on to somebody else who really needs it. All I can say is, real fathers, stand up. You might not be able to do it for your child, but you can do it for a child who needs you. There are too many young men out here who lack guidance. There's too many young men out here that don't know about proper dressing for a professional environment. I've been in workshops where we teach kids how to tie a tie, and it's amazing how many young men don't know that. Or how many young men don't understand the power of a proper handshake for them to be proud of themselves? So when they shake somebody's hand, they don't immediately drop their head down because they are not confident and unsure of themselves. These young men need proper examples. But just as these young men need proper examples, women, what you are putting out there as young ladies, and I use that loosely because you are just doing nothing more but flooding the market with a product that is not needed. And with enough time passed, you're going to find out that the dating world, the courting world, the mating world and whatnot is going to discard them. And I'm going to guess like it has discarded mom. You're basically giving that to your daughter. So if you listening to Sexxy Red and your ski, whatever hell song that is, whatever it may be, and you think that's cute, well, make it cute on your own dime. Make it cute when it's all about you and your adult friends. Don't play that shit around your kids. They already absorb enough bad stuff when they're out in this world or they're out at school on everything else and social media and whatnot. And then what do? Do you put a stop to it? Do you say, this is not going to be you? We're not going to do this? No, you're going to go to Pink Pole Studios and have a stripping class with your daughter. God help us all, because this is not a small occurrence, a random occurrence. This mess is becoming the norm. In closing, fathers, do the best you can to be around. Make sure that you do everything that is legal. Make sure you do everything within the court system if you are dealing with the courts. If you're not getting your proper supervised time for your child, deal with the courts. Do not deal with the mother. Document everything. That's what you have to do. And we as a people have to do better. So what I'm going to go ahead and say in closing, if you have questions, comments, concerns, or even angry, flaming hate mail, you can go ahead and send it to basicblackpodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, please take a second and go ahead and rate this podcast, please. It would really help with the process of trying to bring it to a bigger platform. It doesn't cost you a thing. Just a quick moment of your time. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Take care of each other, and I'm out.